Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Today, Andrew Claudio and Bryce Simon join me to break down the New York Knicks winning the NBA Cup. We're also going to talk a little bit about a lot of things. We're going to talk about the Rookie of the Year race that's shaping up between Cooper Flagg and Knueppel. We are going to talk about the Kings. We're going to talk about the Bucks apparently being buyers at the deadline, the weirdo Terry Rozier answer from Adam Silver at his presser. A lot of stuff on the docket today, but first, let's hit the music.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Way downtown.
Bang! Bang! What is this going to be? Wow! Are you kidding me?
Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. But if you watch the tape, what you will see completely orchestrated this game. Bryce, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Sam? I'm just glad the pre-pod baseball and movie conversations are over and we get to talk about basketball now.
Yeah, you know, Andrew and I got all that stuff out of the way beforehand, so it all worked out.
It's all right. I got my Facebook scrolling in for the afternoon while you guys were doing that.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that you scroll Facebook anymore publicly, Bryce. Like, not because of the meta thing, just because like it really makes you feel like an old at this point. Unfortunately,
Sam, I teach 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and I am bald. They all think I'm 60 already. So,
that's amazing.
I am old in the eyes of pretty much everybody in my stratosphere.
Well, we're going to talk about the New York Knicks winning the NBA Cup to start this thing. They beat the San Antonio Spurs, I believe 124-112. When Andrew comes up, he'll tell me if that score was wrong. I think that's right. New York Knicks had an opportunity to hang a banner for the first time in 52 years, and they decided not to. I love it. I actually respect them not hanging the banner. Andrew, let's bring you up to the stage here. Knicks could have hung a banner. They didn't. I kind of respect it. I think it's smart not to hang a banner. I think that like in their case, because it's been, unfortunately, I'm not taking shots here, like just has been a while for the Knicks, that it almost would have been like a bit of a slap in the face to the fans if they had hung a banner. Also, like, you know, it feels like James Dolan might not be the biggest fan of the league and Adam Silver in general. So like, this was a good opportunity just to like maybe throw a little bit of shade their way. Like there are many reasons why you don't hang a banner here for the Knicks, but I respect it and love it.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on it too. But first, I wanted to see if we could talk about your top 5 from the Golden Globes, Sam, and maybe if we want to get into what the Pirates could potentially. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Bryce. Last mention of movies and baseball today. Look, if it is a Dolan Silver chess move, I'm a little annoyed by it. And I can't express how little I'm annoyed by it. For all of James Dolan's meddling and interference that people still associate with him because of how bad things got in the 2000s, they are a title contender right now. They are running on fumes at the moment, exploring a much bigger ceiling. So clearly any meddling he has done recently or any feuds he has with the owner's office is not holding them back one bit. You're still going to hear them mentioned in every honest trade discussion, even though they don't have the pieces to actually be the best offer for Giannis anyway. But they are a desirable destination. They have built a competent thing. If it is a Jalen Brunson thing, which is where I actually think this came from, that they have higher heights that they want to ascend to, then I'm all for it. I got to be honest, Sam, I have tapped out of Bannergate here in New York City. There are some people that feel very strongly they should be hanging a banner on Friday at Madison Square Garden. There are some that are glad that they're not hanging a banner and feel that very strongly that they're not doing that at Madison Square Garden. I am personally just very happy that they are playing the way they're playing, which is extremely well and looking like a team that could at least make the finals. And then we'll discuss more from there.
Well, and like we talked about on the last episode, Bryce, like it did take me a minute to kind of figure this out just because of a sampling issue that I kept having, where I kept watching, games where the Knicks were competitive when they shouldn't have been, like they should have been like blowing teams out. And, I kept seeing losses. Like I feel like the 6 games prior to the NBA Cup, quarters, semis, and finals that I watched, they were like 3-3 in those games randomly. Like it was very bizarre that I kept catching them on the wrong day. And then last week I did like a real, like, okay, no, I'm going to sit down and like figure out what the Knicks are doing here. Like watch through and figured out, no, this is just very clearly the best team in the East. Like, what am I doing here? Yeah. And Bryce, I guess I'll ask you this question. Does this in any way, shape, or form change your outlook on the Knicks moving forward? The fact that they were able to handle business in the NBA Cup in the way that they did?
No, I mean, I don't think it like changes what I thought. I agreed with you, and Pistons fans, I'm sure, will be mad at me. I saw Pistons fans mad at KOC about his tweet, which I think the way you phrase them being the best team in the East, and if you completely disregard the Pistons, is a little bit unfair right now. But even before this game, I agreed with you that they were the best team in the East and would probably be the team I would pick to win the Eastern Conference playoffs and all of that. I do think this was played and looked like a playoff game, which is always exciting to get in December for NBA basketball. I do think you saw the outline of what can make the Knicks special for a run, not just in the Eastern Conference, but even competing for an NBA Finals against whoever comes out of the West. And that was an energetic defensive team and massive production from the bench. I know you want to talk about Tyler Kolek, but Jordan Clarkson and Mitchell Robinson are not getting enough love, at least in the stratosphere that I'm a part of and seeing. Those two were massive. Clarkson started it with the first 3 at the end of the third quarter. Kolek backed it up with his in transition. Clarkson followed it up with like another offensive rebound in the fourth quarter and other massive plays and shots. And Mitchell Robinson was incredible defensively on the offensive boards, all of that. So this is what you watch and go, this is what can win them a title if they can put it together like this. And one thing real quick, I think the other thing from these cup games is, hey, the Thunder can get beat. And then that team that just got beat or that just beat the Thunder just lost to an Eastern Conference team as well. I'm not saying that the Thunder still aren't the favorites and the West may not have the 4 best teams in the NBA, but we saw these teams go toe-to-toe in high leverage situations, and we saw an Eastern Conference team end up pulling it out.
Well, for me, I think that what the conclusion that I just realized is at the end of the day with the Knicks is they just bludgeon you. Like they are the most physical team outside of Oklahoma City in the league, I think is what I would say.
I would just like they are. I don't think you can automatically put them above Detroit and Houston.
I was even going to say Detroit.
Houston is probably ahead of them too, actually. But here's the difference for me with them and Detroit. I agree with you defensively. Detroit is more physical than New York is. It's more about like how physical they are on offense. Like Towns is constantly just like Towns' move now is I'm just going to put my shoulder into you and just move you backwards and get to my spot. Jalen Brunson is trying to like wrecking ball, bowling ball to the rim every single time. OG Anunoby is physical. He bumps you on defense every time that you come through for a cut, every time that you try and roll to the rim. Josh Hart is wildly physical. He's trying to get to the glass every time. He's trying to bump you. Mitch is obviously just like an absolute hoss on the interior, right? All of these dudes, except for Mikhail on some level, they just beat the crap out of you. And I mean that like positively. I really mean that as like a compliment to them. They play like a real brand of bully basketball while being like this incredibly skilled team on top of it. And I think that that's where that intersection of bully basketball and skill basketball is why they have the success that they do. And Mitch Robinson in this game to me was like the perfect embodiment of it with the 10 offensive rebounds, right? Like that's who he is. Like he is just going to go and crash and make things miserable for you and make you work and make you box him out every time and make you be physical with him every time. Like he's going to, swat down on Victor and make his life hard. Like they are so physical is really what it comes down to for me when I watch them now. And that's kind of what I've pinpointed in my head. This year to me in the NBA is the year of like the physicality. The teams that are most successful right now, league wide, are the biggest bullies in the yard. It's the Pistons, it's the Knicks, it's the Rockets, it is the obviously Thunder. Oklahoma City at number 1. Yeah, like that's in the Knicks in the Eastern Conference. In my opinion, right now, do a better job of it than anybody else.
So if I could just jump in, because this is actually the first time I've heard their physicality praised this season. And in my observation of the Knicks through 25 plus an NBA Cup game, like they were physical under Tibbs. Like that was part of the Tibbs bully ball and the volleyball they play in the offensive glass. And Mitchell Robinson, look, I remain amazed at his ability to just turn games and create gravity and attention with his offensive rebounding. He had 5 offensive rebounds in 90 seconds at one point in the NBA Cup championship game. Like I remain stunned that teams have not figured out when he grabs the ball, just foul him, like send him to the line, because every time he rebounds, he passes out to someone from 3. I don't know what the numbers are. Like you guys might have access to Second Spectrum. I'm assuming it's 100% from 3 that the Knicks are when anytime Mitchell Robinson gets a rebound and he passes out to someone. Because you guys have been in an open gym before. It's just somebody catching the ball, passing it out to you for 3, like a normal shoot-around drill. And that's what Mitchell Robinson creates. So I'm here for that physicality. Can I give you guys a stat?
Yeah.
So last season, the magic number teams seem to go to is like 43s is like the comfortable, like advanced metrics. We're a team that emphasizes 3-point shooting. The Knicks traded for Karl-Anthony Towns. You would have thought their 3-pointers go up. They're going to team that takes 43s a ton, as many times as possible, right? So last season, 82 game schedule. How many times do you guys think the Knicks took 43s in a game?
How many times?
Yes. How many times do you think the Knicks took 43 pointers attempted in a basketball game?
They were bottom 5 in 3-point attempt rate last year. I know that. Mm-hmm. So I would say 6.
I was gonna say 10. I was gonna say 10.
Okay. So you guys played the game much better than I thought you would. They took in 82 games, it was 16. It was technically 20, but 4 of them went to overtime. I'm not counting those. In the regulation games they played last year, only 16 times did they take 43s. This season, with Mike Brown emphasizing, you can get downhill and get to the rim. We're focusing on penetrate and kick. You are throwing it to one of Bud's boxes on the wing, and we are taking as many corner threes and many above the break threes. We are taking 43s. They have, through 25 games, already taken 43s in 14 games this year, and it's technically 15 because they took 40 last night. That's more where I see them exploring their new ceiling this year, that they're actually maximizing the offense in ways that they haven't in the past.
I completely agree with you on that too, but like the way that they do it, the way that they get those paint touches, to me is like, it's not like Jalen. I mean, Jalen can cross guys up for sure, but Jalen is like putting his shoulder into people. More than that, like Towns is putting his shoulder into people.
Correct.
And Mitch is putting his shoulder and long arms above the rim and going to chase offensive rebounds and then kicking out, right? Like that's what really, and like OG plays like a very straight line, power-based game on the ball whenever he tries. He's very skilled in terms of being able to cut and knock down shots and things like that too. I thought OG was the MVP of their last 2 games, to be honest. Like I know Brunson won MVP of the NBA Cup. I thought OG was just absolutely elite against both Orlando and San Antonio. Like they are. This Knicks team is awesome, dude. Like I love. It took me again, like just because I had a weird sampling issue. Like I didn't catch it in the.
Can I tell you what it was? I actually know what it was, Sam. Can I actually tell you what it was? The sampling issue. So how many times? Because I from producing the show, you guys talk a lot about Orlando and how good they were. The Knicks have already played Orlando 4 times this year, so you probably watched them lose to Orlando a bunch. I've also heard you guys talk about
games. Yeah.
You guys talked about the Bulls being fun at the very beginning of the season. You know who that really fun Bulls team beat very early in the season? New York Knicks, so they're figuring things out. The Miami Heat and the start they got off to. They played the Knicks 3 times already this season. You know,
real quick, GMAC. So I'm looking through my notes of I've watched 10 full Knicks games this year. Like I have, you know me. Like I have pages of notes over 10 full Knicks games. Here are the games I've watched. Knicks versus Heat.
Yep.
Knicks versus Bulls. Knicks versus Heat. Knicks versus Magic. Knicks versus, and there's others sprinkled in there.
Right.
Here's real quick. Also, let's be fair to ourselves. This team was also 9-6 at one point. Like,
right.
Totally.
They've gotten better. Yeah.
At one point, it was like, well, they're 4 games behind. The Detroit Pistons are winning 13 in a row, and the Knicks are 9-6. And no matter what we want to say about the roster or whatever, you're gonna nitpick a team that's 9-6, and probably fairly so because they're 9-6 in the Eastern Conference. You know what I mean? So I think it was fair. And then now they've kind of realized this stuff, and we got to see it in this NBA Cup setting, which, like I said, is as close to playoff basketball as we're gonna get. And they looked awesome in this. I think that's the thing, is they looked awesome. Sam and I both picked the Spurs, even with all of this talk. We picked the Spurs. And listen, I also don't want to lose sight. Like, the Spurs were winning this game for a lot of it, and played well themselves. And but the Knicks deserve all the credit because they made the comeback and they made the plays.
So what I'm more trying to clarify is that we could talk about a sampling issue. Then they insert, you guys talked about it the other day, they insert Josh Hart back into the starting 5.
That's the big adjustment. Yeah.
They're 10-1 if you include the NBA Cup game since Josh Hart got put back into the starting 5. So that has been the actual change that was made.
Yeah.
And also just playing under a new coach and finally buying in to his system also helps.
And to me, the big difference there is it evens out their rotations like a little bit more. I don't even know that honestly, the numbers are pretty close in terms of like the starters versus how Josh Hart plays with Towns without Mitch, and how Mitch and Towns play together, and how, Towns plays without Mitch with Hart. Like, all of those combinations are like fairly close. To me, it's more the way that the rotations throughout the course of the game tend to even out. You're just letting Mitch bludgeon second unit centers at the end of the day. And those guys just have very little chance to deal with him on the offensive glass, is what it comes down to. And I think that was the smart move that they've made so far.
You also, the three of us, we talked about this during the playoffs last year. Mitchell Robinson earned his keep because he was coming in and being a force against backup centers. And the move everybody was calling for was Deuce McBride to be the 5th starter over Josh Hart. And Tibbs.
And they did this without Deuce, is a big win. So big thing here too.
These last 2 games, if you want to put it down to that sample, are them going back to Josh Hart in the starting 5. And as far as the cup is concerned, Josh Hart being a willing shooter. There's been a lot of good reporting in The Athletic from our good friend Fred Katz and James Edwards III that he now is like buying into the shooting coach because he's not playing the most minutes out of anybody in the NBA. He's able to now work on other aspects of his game and go to practice because those are not just recovery days anymore. They're actually able to have Josh Hart be a part of a 5-out offense where teams have to guard him a specific way. And since that change, it's allowed Mitch to go back to the sweet spot of you just come in and dominate the boards against backup centers, like you said. Even Deuce, before he turned his ankle, go look at the 3-point shooting numbers, was shooting something unconscious, like 14 of his last 26 from 3 over a 5 or 6 game stretch. He has become one of the more dependable shooters, which then leads to okay, you got your 7. And, and this is, if you want to, Sam, I'll just hand it off to you. We could talk about the other potential rotation players like a Tyler Kolek or a Jordan Clarkson,
Real quick, I want to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about with Mitchell Robinson on the offensive boards. I think people know, but per 100 possessions, he averages 12.6 offensive, not total, offensive rebounds per 100. You guys want to guess what second place is?
Honestly, it might be like 7 or 8.
It's higher than that, but it's like it's Capella at 10.8, Steven Adams at 10.2, and then it does jump all the way down to 8. Sam, like then it is Klingon and Misi and Diabate and guys like that. But he is too, like everybody talks about Steven Adams and the Houston Rockets offensive rebound percentage and he is 2.4 more per 100 possessions on the offensive boards than Steven Adams this year. And then he leads all rebounders. This is a 15 plus game, so there may be somebody in there that hasn't played 15 yet. We all see it with our eyes. And the fact that he did it to Wemby, really has people talking. This is sneaky something Wemby's not very good at because he's 7'5", and he just like somebody that's willing to get position is able to, get these things. But it's just massive. And one of Clarkson's threes was exactly what you talked about. Grab the offensive rebound, kick to Clarkson 3-point bang.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to your point, Bryce, Mitchell Robinson, when he's on the court, the Knicks grabbed 40.8% of their misses, which is a bonkers number. When he's off the court, they grab 27.5% of their misses. So they're getting 13 extra rebounds per 100 possessions with Mitchell Robinson in. Just for reference, when Steven Adams is in the game for the Rockets, they get 41% of their misses. So basically the same level with Mitch and with Steven Adams in terms of how the team offensive rebounds when both those guys are on the court. Tyler Kolek was great in this game. Again, like we talked about this on the trade show that we did a couple days ago, but I don't really get the Alvarado thing for the Knicks. I understand that like it's a youngish player with a cheap contract, but Kolek and Deuce McBride, like you can't play Alvarado with both of those guys and with Jalen. Like it doesn't really track for me. And you can say maybe you just sit Kolek or whatever, but I think Kolek's good enough to where you don't have to expend the limited like trade resources that you have if you don't want to move one of your rotation players, like one of your big, 6 rotation guys, including Mitch. And if you don't want to move Deuce as well, so let's call it 7. If you don't want to move one of those guys, it's going to be hard, I think, to go get somebody if you decide to go get Alvarado as well. So to me, it's more like, let's go try and find a wing. Let's go and try and find like maybe another big, honestly, because the Yabusele experiment is kind of going down in flames. But like, I think that like a bigger forward, I think is where I would focus my energy. It's just hard to find those guys on the market at the end of the day. Especially
when you have as limited of resources that the Knicks have to potentially get one. They have some swaps. I believe they have this Washington first round pick that has just never actually been a first round pick, other like in name only, because it's top 9 protected. I think the three of us are all in agreement they will not finish with anything worse than the 9th best odds in the NBA draft this year. So I look at their resources and it's really what can you get if it's Tyler Kolek or it's Deuce McBride's contract or Mitch Robinson is an expiring contract, but these are all guys I want them to have for the stretch run, for the playoff run. The Alvarado thing was always, it depends what Kolek is. Can you eventually trust him in April, May, and potentially June? Last night was somewhat eye-opening for me in that it's the best game he's played as a professional, and it's a shame it doesn't count toward any stats or record books, but he had like a career high in points, a career high in minutes, a career high in rebounds, and just was such a difference maker in that fourth quarter to the point where, and not to make this a Tibbs versus Mike Brown thing, him getting put back in with 3 minutes left to have a second ball handler on the floor, not only was it just like a nod of confidence in Kolek, but it's also just the thing the Knicks haven't done when Jalen Brunson has struggled to get the ball up the court over the last 4 years. So if he's this, then they have their backup point guard. This is a team that brought in Malcolm Brogdon to training camp to the point where I think Malcolm was going to make the team, but it wasn't going to be as sure a rotation spot as it eventually was. And then the whole conversation the first couple months was, is Kolek in the rotation? Is Deuce McBride your backup point guard? And this Landry Shamet injury is just open an opportunity to have a second guard in the backup unit, and he's taken it and run with it. And this is where I actually want to get your guys' thoughts on this. But defensively, that's always been my concern. When he stood up Wemby and on that fast break in the third quarter, it was the eye-opening. Oh, this is someone that's not as much of a liability on defense anymore. Yeah,
like I will say, he's very competitive. He knows where he's supposed to be. He's smart rotationally. It's just a foot speed issue for me with him as much as anything when he has to deal with high-level guards.
Yeah, I'm more worried like somebody hunts him and, in just point of attack. Like, I think the play that he made that probably isn't talked about enough is he takes an off the ball charge on Luke Cornett. So San Antonio's running, middle ball screen and roll. Julian Champagne's on the weak side, lifting to the wing, and Kolek steps in, takes a charge on Cornett's roll, and Champagne actually makes the shot. I don't know when the official actually blew the whistle or not, so like, it's not always like direct 1-for-1. Like, who knows if he makes it, if the whistle isn't blown or whatever, but like, I think he'll do things like that. And as Sam said, not only is he wildly competitive, he is wildly confident. He missed his first catch and shoot 3, and he comes right back on the next possession. I believe it was a baseline out of bounds and just bangs a corner catch and shoot 3 off that action. And so I have real questions about it. I've said it. I thought he was really good last night. I don't think that eliminates my quote unquote concerns, but at the end of the day, they have a bunch of these guys. Again, I thought Clarkson was awesome last night. My issue continues to be, you are in big trouble if Mitchell Robinson can't play at all. And even if he can, I still want another 4.2, right? Like not a 4.5, positionally, you know what I'm saying, right? And Yabusele was a DMP coach's decision, correct? And I think that kind of should be stated here. I didn't miss him, but you get in a game where you could use that kind of body type. Doesn't look like he's the guy. So
it's unfortunate because that was one of the sneaky moves during the offseason that I thought would be a difference maker as an 8th or 9th man on this team. Guys, he's been unplayable. I just, as someone who's watched every second of every Knicks game this year, I have watched too much Guerschon Yabusele. From the moment, like from night 1 against the Cavs, it was like, oh, okay, you're still playing yourself into shape. And it's just, he's not big enough to be a big. He's not quick enough to be a forward. He's not a good enough shooter to play 5 out. It's Precious Achiuwa, but not as good defensively all of a sudden. So that's why you saw the DNP CD last night. And I think there should be more going forward. I think a lot of Knicks fans and Knicks content creators agree this just hasn't worked out yet. So it's a matching salary slot at this point. The only other thing I'll say about Kolek is this is where I want to give Mike Brown credit. And I think this started in the Toronto game of the NBA Cups in the quarterfinals. So Kolek came out with the second unit in the second quarter. And then Jordan Clarkson got into some foul trouble. And like right away, he picked up a third foul or whatever it was. And then Mike Brown goes to Kolek plus the starter. So basically in place of Brunson. And that lineup just, it built a double-digit lead. And it was like, oh, just let him be the point guard with 4 other starting caliber players and he'll succeed. Yeah. They did it again against Orlando. They did it again against San Antonio. And it's been positive ever since. Like putting him in a position to succeed and not just writing it off as you're young, go sit, we'll work out your issues in the G League. They're actually using this season, the words you like to always say, Bryce, as data collection. And I would like them to collect more data on Tyler Kolek before they consider going externally to find their backup point guard.
I think the most impressive thing was the way he broke down the defense. He had multiple possessions where he did. I think the best play he made all night didn't end up as an assist. And this is why I think assists can lie, the raw stats sometimes. He has a sick drive, eye manipulation of the weak side defender and hits Mikal Bridges for a wide open catch and shoot 3. And Mikal just doesn't knock it down. But it was just a very impressive play from him. Everybody will remember the drive and the baseline whip pass to OG in the weak side corner that kind of put the game on ice. There were other really good examples of him breaking down the defense and then spraying it out to shooters like you guys mentioned earlier.
Can I add one more thing, Sam? Because we're talking about that OG shot in the corner from Tyler Kolek, right? That play, I've watched it like 6 times today, and this is like the 3rd pod that I've gotten to talk about this. And I'm so happy I get to do it on Game Theory because you guys like break down X's and O's as well. So like that specific play, that driving kick brings Wemby in over to draw the double, to hit OG that was a microcosm of what the Knicks are now. Because why is he even on the court? It's because they have a coach that actually trusts two small guards to play in crunch time. Why is he able to get to the rim? Because the defender on the strong side has to stay home on Josh Hart, because they're not just sagging off or helping at the nail. And it's basically, it's a spacing in a phone booth, right? Like he's actually forcing defenders to guard him so Kolek's able to get downhill. Why is he kicking to the corner? It's because Mike Brown is emphasizing sprays, the kicks to the box in the corner. So rather than a ton of rim pressure like it was under Tibbs, like all three of those things, those observations on that one play are all in place because of what the Knicks are now, because they have explored this new offensive ceiling that I think has projected even higher for them later this season.
Can I just stop real quick? And I do just want to bring up Anunoby again real quick. Please. And I want to close on this because we do have to move on. I thought that Anunoby was literally everything that the Knicks acquired him for in these two games. He was incredibly opportunistic and smart on offense with the way that like he opens this game with like a sick back cut of Steph Castle, who just like totally loses him on the backside.
Yep.
And he drills like a corner three. He drills the second corner three, like way over the top of Wembanyama. He sneaks behind Vassell for a back cut at the rim for an easy bucket. Then he gets like Dylan Harper on like a mid post, like elbow look and drives and gets him in the air and then goes up and under to score. Then he like draws another foul going to the rim in transition. And then he has another one where he has like a very sick cut to the rim after I think Luke Cornett had like dislodged the ball from maybe it was Brunson. I can't remember who. But it was just like the most fun, opportunistic, off-ball wing scorer version of Anunoby that you see. And it was huge for them. Like having somebody who doesn't need the ball, but when he gets it, can be so incredibly impactful and effective is really what this Knicks team is like always needed. And it's why they are obviously just like drastically better for having OG Anunoby in the lineup every single time he's out there. To me, like Anunoby is so much of their barometer for me. Do you know what the on-offs are this year, Andrew? They're like completely bonkers.
Yeah, it's better than Mitch, right? He's their highest on-off for the season, right?
Yeah. So when Anunoby is on the court, they beat teams by 20 points per 100 possessions right now. That's a crazy number. When he's off the court, they beat teams by 7 points per 100 possessions. Like the Knicks are a good basketball team, so like it's not a surprise. But like when Anunoby is out there, their defense is 108.5. When he's like off the court, their defense is 117.5.
Yeah,
he covers for everybody defensively. He continues to get better offensively in terms of being that opportunistic like vulture around like the rim and from three. I think that right now, like he is probably like the most underrated, like unsung, like truly like elite player within his role in the league. Despite the fact that he plays for the Knicks in a massive market. And, it's not like his scoring numbers are low or anything. Like he's averaging what, like 18 or so?
He's at 16 right now this year. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that, and look, I've actually tried to make this an emphasis over at Knicks Film School. Let's not make every praise of Mike Brown a criticism of Tom Thibodeau. Tibbs did a great job with the Knicks. He should never pay for another meal in New York City. OG Anunoby's playing 5 minutes less this year. So while his counting stats might be less, you're also seeing his efficiency way up. He's a 59 effective field goal percentage this year. The on-off splits that you're talking about, he hurt his hammy. He strained it. He missed, I think, 6 or 7 games. And during that stretch is when you really saw those really bad, like bottom 5 defense numbers because they had nothing to replace him. And you've seen since he's come back, which I think also has to do with how they've played since Josh Hart went to the starting five, what he's able to be defensively. And it's partially Josh Hart being able to handle himself much better this year at the point of attack, which enables the wing stop that they went out to get of Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby to be more effective. But yeah, I actually want to ask you guys, like, I know what the Eastern Conference is, and it'd be weird to put a 16-point per game player on the All-Star team, but where would he factor into your All-Star considerations for this year?
Not there for me. Would probably be in like the top 20.
Okay.
I would say, but like not near the top 12.
If the Knicks need to have two, would it be OG or would it be Cat?
I think it would be Cat.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's still Cat for me as well.
Yeah. Look, I love Anunoby. I think he's been an absolute star, like in his role over this last, especially like since he's gotten back from the hamstring injury. But look, and I was pretty hard on Towns to start the year. And I frankly am like kind of at the point where I don't really enjoy watching him play. Like, just being completely transparent. The like incessant complaining, the like bully ball physicality that I just talked so glowingly about, like, it's remarkably effective. Let's be very clear. It's just not for me in terms of enjoying watching it. But over his last 18 games, he's at 24, 11, and 3 while shooting 50, 36, 87. Like, he's the guy over Anunoby, I think, after the slow start. And like, it's been up and down. I get it, but like, I do think it is Cat still.
For what it's worth, I thought he was pretty decent last night too. I mean, for what it's, and I think
totally. Yeah.
Like, Towns puts a ton of pressure on your defense with the way he can shoot it and space it, the way he can drive it. And I think something that's not often talked about enough is his passing ability. Like, I love giving Cat the ball in the middle of the floor, face up to the rim. And if you don't close out to him, he's going to shoot it. If you close out too hard, he's going to drive it. And if your off-ball defense isn't in tune, he's going to pass it to somebody, making a backdoor cut or whatever. I think it's a fun conversation. Like, I don't think you're crazy off base here. I do still think Towns probably unlocks a little bit more offensively. OG's obviously much better defensively. I think it's why I've enjoyed watching them here recently is I think Mikal Bridges, and this is maybe why OG doesn't get enough credit because there's always somebody else to go to. But I think Mikal is the one that has exceeded my expectations the most out of anybody on this team this season. And it's not just with his offense, it's his defense. I think his defense is improved this year, and especially for regular season comparison. And I think especially his defensive disruption numbers have been good. So I think a lot of these, I think across the board, guys have kind of not fallen into, that sounds like it was an accident, have been put into the roles, and they have accepted those and are really flourishing in them kind of across the board, to be quite honest. And that's what makes it hard. Then you get to All-Star and it's like, well, OG's awesome in his role and Mikel's awesome in his role and Cat's awesome in his role. And it's, they're second in the East. And so how many do they deserve? And, all of that, that's where it gets tough.
Yeah, I think they're all being maximized this year. That's basically where I'm at. They're being maximized way more so than they have, let's just say, in years past. I really don't want to make this a full referendum on Tibbs. The way that they're being optimized this year seems to have them a bit more maximized. That's across the board, which is where they have now found themselves winners of technically 9 of their last 10 because last night didn't count. That's my last note, by the way, and then I'll get out of here. My only objection to the NBA Cup, because I obviously enjoyed it a lot this year. My team won it. Just, if you win it, you get an extra win. That's my only take. If you win it, you get an extra win. You don't get an extra loss. If you lose it, that's a thing you can earn that makes it count for the regular season that teams might want to play for. You win it, you get an extra win. And then if you come down to a tiebreaker at the end of the year, well, technically the Knicks end up getting one more win. So we get to play for something else. All I want. But
well, here's my question. And I'm sure that like the Knicks wouldn't love this because, or maybe the Spurs wouldn't love this because they play this game and everything. But like, the Knicks play the Spurs twice this year. Just take away one of those games. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, this game counts, and then just say, oh, okay, so they play on December 31st, right? They play in
You
San
guys get
Antonio.
some extra rest.
You guys get some extra rest, right? But I'm sure that like the Spurs will be like, then we're losing a home game, right? So we're losing revenue there. So like it's complicated. I'm not saying
Isn't there talk about getting rid of the Vegas aspect though? This would be a little bit easier if they just let like if it's just a home game for somebody. What is the talk if they don't go to Vegas? Is it somewhere else neutral?
I thought that did Silver say something like the high end college venues? Maybe?
Yeah, like a championship game at Cameron Indoor. I guess they'd need more seating than Duke, but yeah, I had heard. Well, heard is a weird way to say it. I had thought that the Madison Square Garden, like putting it in your actual most famous arena in your sport, but then you run into like the Knicks get an extra home game if that happens, like last night would have been. I like Sam's idea of just take a game off the schedule. You know,
if you earn it, like you get the extra home game, guys. Like it's fine. You know what I mean? Like put it in Madison Square Garden. It'd be amazing.
Detroit played somebody in Mexico City. I can't think of that team. Just lost a home game. Like it was a home game for their opponent that was in Mexico. I think that is this right or am I converting?
Well, so like the Magic go to Germany in a couple weeks too. Yeah. So like it's those neutral sites games happen. So if you're saying like this happens, I guess you're okay with it. I would like the Knicks to have an extra win on their schedule. If they end up winning 55 games and so do the Pistons, I'll be like, yeah, but the Knicks technically won 56, so they should get home court. So.
I love it. Okay. We're going to move toward the Spurs. We're going to move toward some of the other things we want to talk about today. Anything you want to plug, like such as the Knicks website / multi-channel network that you guys have operating?
Yeah, we're quickly moved on to the swing of things where the Knicks have a back-to-back that apparently nobody's going to play in Indiana because they were busy playing in the NBA Cup. Check out Knicks Film School, all podcast platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We are on Substack with a newsletter, on Patreon with bonus content. And I have a pregame pod at 6 a.m. of every Knicks game day. So check out all of our work there. Let's go Knicks. And not to potentially send Bryce into a slumber, check out Just Mets, a new Mets podcast that has taken up a lot of my time for better or for worse over the past several weeks. So thank you for having me, guys. And congratulations to the 2025 NBA Cup champion, New York Knicks.
All right, Andrew, let's get you out of here. We can't have too much positivity about the Knicks here. We've only done 45 minutes. We can't continue it along. Okay. Before we move on to the Spurs, let's shout out GLD. Bryce, you recently got a product from GLD.
I'm going. Yep, I'm going. Get your read in, Sam. I'm getting it. We got the nice box, Sam. We got the nice box.
I love it.
A nice bag. And my wife was very jealous of this because she didn't get anything, but that's not necessarily what GLD does. But yeah, a nice necklace here from GLD.
Beautiful chain. I love it. But here's the thing. We know that buying men's jewelry can be an absolute nightmare, especially during the holidays. Maybe you're buying something for your dad, your brother, another loved one, whoever, but you don't want to skimp on quality while also finding something affordable. GLD is different. They make quality pieces that don't break the bank. You can feel that everything is meticulously set and that their proprietary production process creates a quality and shine that is just on another tier. They have it all from chains and pendants to rings and earrings. You can find watches if you're looking for function. They have the perfect gift for everyone on your wish list. And don't take our word for it. They have over 2 million customers and 50,000 5-star reviews. GLD stands by the quality of their jewelry, and they give you a lifetime warranty, meaning that it's built to last the rest of your life. Work hard and change the game. Right now, GLD is making holiday shopping easy. For a limited time, new customers get an insane deal. They're going to get 50% off at GLD.com with the code Game Theory. That's 50% off with the code Game Theory at GLD.com. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Our second sponsor of the day, good friends of the program over at Nutrafol. If you're dealing with hair issues like thinning, shedding, but you feel totally stuck on what to try next. There are so many products that you can go for out there, but it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's exactly why it's worth giving Nutrafol a closer look. It's not just hype, it's physician formulated, clinically tested, and even recommended by dermatologists. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. You can feel great about what you're putting into your body because Nutrafol hair growth supplements are backed by peer-reviewed studies, and they are NSF content certified, the gold standard and third-party certification for supplements. The thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Game Theory. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code Game Theory. That's Nutrafol.com. Promo code Game Theory. Bryce, I don't want to spend a crazy amount of time on the San Antonio Spurs just because, honestly, it just felt like it wasn't their night. I thought the Knicks did outplay them first and foremost. I do just want to say, like, when Wemby stepped onto the court, like right around, I think, like 5 minutes into the game or so, he just felt like very sped up to me and just like looked like his arms and limbs were going in different directions. And like, instead of playing like the slower methodical game that we've seen him play often this year, especially on offense, like it just felt like it was moving like a million miles an hour for him in a way that is strange. We find out after the game that he unfortunately suffered a death in the family, literally the morning of the game. And it just, I don't know. Even in my notes, like immediately I wrote like he looks really sped up, and then we find out after the game that something was off. It didn't take me by surprise, I guess is what I would say to find that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a reminder, right, that these people are still humans, and even though they're making millions of dollars and all of that, that just because you make $1 million or whatever, millions of dollars to play this game doesn't mean you still can't have your emotions get to you, especially with something like this. And, I don't know the details and all of that, so I don't want to speak on it too much, but just in general, it's just one of those things. And so you obviously feel for him as a person and his family and everything that's going on there. But you're right. Like I felt that way, and I didn't even realize this, until you as well. But it was like, man, like New York's really kind of frustrating him. And he seems a little like you say, just not always on balance and just not as solid as what he usually looks. And I think the other thing is like, it's just an indictment of being a professional athlete and how much focus. And I'm not like critiquing Wemby here. I want to be very clear. It's very understandable, but how important those things are, and how if it is thrown off because of something as understanding as this, it can affect the on-court game, your emotions, your focus, those type of things. Mostly, I thought Dylan Harper was really good. I thought he had a good game. Man, listen, Sam, this team was still leading through what? I don't think New York took the lead till the fourth quarter, right? They had a double-digit lead late into the third, and then the Clarkson, Kolek back-to-back threes. So this is a San Antonio team that still played well overall, and then New York just kind of went on that run. They got a little bit more from their depth and ended up winning the game. But this didn't change my thoughts on the Spurs a whole lot. It's not like, oh, the Thunder win was a fluke or something. And, it's another game where Victor didn't even play a ton of minutes. So I'm still very excited about this San Antonio team.
Yeah, like I thought that Dylan Harper played super well in this game, had 21 and 7 rebounds. I thought that De'Aaron didn't necessarily have his best game. He goes 5 for 13, 5 turnovers. Steph Castle was great as a passer and playmaker, but the scoring efficiency is going to have to kind of iron itself out and figure itself out at some point. Fournette, I thought, was really good in this game too, but did just get kind of bullied. It felt like on the defensive glass by Mitch when he was out there against that matchup. Yeah, I mean, look, it's nothing really changes for me with the Spurs after this game. They looked great throughout the NBA Cup, and they ran into a really good team that's playing super well right now.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. The next thing I want to talk about here, I want to talk about the Rookie of the Year race. because Cooper Flagg had his monster game on Monday night where he goes for 42, right? And was unbelievable in this game. I did a breakdown of it over on the Substack channel, which, by the way, gametheorysamv.substack.com. Go over there. Bryce and I do breakdowns all the time of these things that happen on the NBA court, on college courts. Yesterday, I did a Cooper Flagg breakdown. You'll be able to see how he took advantage of Utah just like switching defensively every single possession, and how he just like obliterated Keontae George and Walter Clayton. And
did you tell Will Hardy we are huge fans of his and we love him as a coach, but maybe Keontae George trying to guard Cooper Flagg was a miscalculation in that game?
You know what, though? I will give Keontae a lot of credit.
He competed.
Late in the game, I thought Cooper bailed him out a couple of times with some bad shots and bad choices on drives, but Keontae really competed late in the game and made it way harder for Cooper. And, again, like Keontae is a guy that I'm probably gonna have to do a breakdown of on the Substack channel at some point. He had 37 in that game, I think. And look, he's gone from being like one of the 5 or 6 probably worst defenders in the league to being, he's still not an average defender, but I respect that he's competing out there in a real way and is like much better and much stronger and much more physical in terms of the way he's competing.
And I know this is a Cooper Flagg and Knueppel segment, and we can get to that as well. But the thing is, with what he's doing offensively, getting to where he's at defensively is going to be plenty good. You know what I mean? Like, if he's able to do this offensively consistently and compete the way he is defensively, that's big time. But I will quickly say,
let me finish the read before we get to let me finish the Substack piece of it. So gametheorysamv.substack.com if you want to watch more of the Cooper stuff. I did a breakdown of Darren Peterson against Missouri earlier this week, and then today, hopefully today, there will be a breakdown of Yaxel Lendeborg versus Maryland as well, uploaded to the Substack. So gametheorysamv.substack.com. Bryce, continue.
I was just going to say, the way he got to his left hand all game long is the thing that stood out to me in this game. I mean, he was going to his left all game, and then he can stop, he can spin, hit the mid-range jumper, going back over the other shoulder. He was bumping dudes out of the way. I think this is the last couple of games I've watched. He's been able to do that. He had a left-hand floater in this game where he's going left, he goes up, gets fouled, and then puts it in his left hand.
Nasty.
He had a stop on 2 feet, shot fake, up and under. I just thought he had his full bag on display, and it looks like where he likes to get the ball is right there on the elbow and then attack from there. And they're
running a ton of horn stuff where he just catches at the elbow and like is able to isolate. And if he sees a mismatch, like it's just, red meat, he's going for it. Over Cooper's last 11 games, he's averaging 22.4 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists versus only 2 turnovers, shooting 51% from the field and 82% from the line while getting there 6 times a game. He got to the line 20 times in that game against Utah. It was completely ridiculous. I will say, like, one area where he's going to have to improve, and we knew this coming in, like his gathers and footwork, like he just goes up off 2 feet every time because he's so explosive.
Yeah.
As soon as he irons that out, and I really break this down in detail on the video, like as soon as like he starts being able to decelerate and plant and like use his footwork to be able to get to the rim, like even more than the jumper, I think that's going to translate, like completely transform his game in a real way. And he'll go from like a 22 point per game scorer to like a 29, 30 point per game scorer.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, just looking at the season numbers, what I call touch stats from Synergy, which is their runner. How are they, categorized runners and hooks? But I mean, he is 23 of 38 on those shots. Even his rim numbers aren't bad. He's at 61% at the rim on all attempts, half court in transition. This was a fun game from him. Obviously, he's got to start making threes at some point as well. Like that'll be a portion of it. Even in that 11 game sample you brought up, he's at 17% from the 3-point line. It almost makes it more impressive that he's been able to score the basketball the way he has. And the assist to turnover ratio was good in that sample size as well, almost 2-to-1. I thought he had some rough ones down the stretch of this game.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing. I think Ryan Nembhard has been great, and it's they're better with him on the court and all of that. But still, like eventually he's going to get to play with a NBA starter level primary initiator, which no shade to Ryan Nembhard. I don't know that he's that right now. And, maybe he is someday or whatever. And so I still think at times Cooper's being tasked with a little bit too much, which is okay. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
He'll learn from that. It's not like it was, the first 8 games of the season when it was just way too much. I think it's been impressive how the game has slowed down for him, and he's figured out, how do I attack? Where do I attack? Where do I want to get the ball? And then be able to be effective from those spots.
Here's the thing. So Cooper's averaging 18, 6, and 3.5 right now on 48, 25, 80% from the line. I don't think he's the rookie of the year. Like if you made me say like the first trimester rookie of the year, I think it's like very clearly Knueppel right now.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to like read off these numbers for you. Like these are not like self-selective numbers in my opinion. Like these are very simple numbers. Do you know when the last time there was a guard who averaged 19 points per game while shooting 45% or 46% from the field? That's exactly where Khan is right now. He's shooting 46% from the field and averaging 19 points on the dot. Do you know who the last guard was to do that over the course of a full season as a rookie?
I do not.
You would think that like that happens not regularly, but like once every few years, right? That has not happened since 1989.
Oh, wow.
Like Knueppel is doing something for a guard or a wing. Like we can include like smaller wings in this conversation if you want to. Mitch Richmond, would qualify in that respect. He is doing something that nobody's done in 19 years right now. And just keeping it at like 19 points per game and 46% from the field, that like doesn't remove the fact that he's on a historic pace as a 3-point shooter for a rookie, but it minimizes it. It minimizes Khan's best skill, which is the 3-point shooting. Khan is he's made 89 threes this year. If he plays 75 games, he hasn't missed a game yet this year, but like, let's even say that he misses 7 the rest of the way, just like get him rest or whatever, right? He's on track to hit 255 threes. That would break Keegan Murray's rookie record by 53 pointers.
Yeah.
And that's with him missing 7 games. Like if he plays those other games, he's going to break it by like 75. What I think that somehow it's probably just because he plays in Charlotte and Charlotte has not been amazing or anything like that. I think that somehow we are drastically underappreciating what Knueppel is doing right now. What he's doing is completely bonkers. I'm sorry, he's not shooting 46. He's shooting 47%. The barriers are 46. Like nobody has averaged 19 points while shooting 46% from the field. But he's actually a little bit better than that right now. Khan is averaging 19, 5.5, and 3.5, shooting 47, 40.5, 92. Those are like numbers that I almost can't wrap my head around for a rookie. True shooting percentage is 7% above league average right now. I think he's like pretty okay on defense. I'm not going to sit here and say he's like some massive difference maker, but he's not a liability out there at all. Like he's strong. He knows where he's supposed to be. He's physical. I honestly think that we are way, way, way underappreciating how good Knueppel has been so far.
Yeah, I mean, my recent watch was against the Bulls, and he took the Giddey matchup to start that game, and then he comes out. I've mentioned this with Franz before. Chicago went zone at one point. I think he just cut to the middle of the zone, caught it at the free throw line, jumped. Like he's one of those players that if you want to go zone against the Hornets, I feel like you can put him there. But I think how much he's been able to do off the dribble has been the thing that's impressed me the most with him. And then I mention this every time we talk about Khan. I think Charles Lee has done a really nice job. And there was back-to-back actions that showed his versatility in that game. Runs a middle ball screen with Ryan Kalkbrenner, throws the lob, finish. And then on the next possession, he gets an off-screen 3-point make at the top of the key. I mean, that's you don't find a lot of guys that are able to do those different play types successfully, especially as rookies. You mentioned where he's at. Like, just the NBA overall, he's tied for third in 3-point makes this year. Not just rookies. He had a nice low man rotation contest in that game. Like, he's been so good. And you mentioned the 11 game sample from Cooper, right? So I just want to put this into context for people. Cooper is averaging 22, 6, and 4. You already mentioned that. Over that same 11 game sample, Hahn is averaging 20, 4.5, and 4 as well on 47, 41, 96 from the free throw line. So even over this 11 game sample where Cooper Flagg has been awesome, Hahn Knueppel has also been awesome. And I said this about the rookie of the year, and maybe in general, Dylan Harper, I think, is the only one that's going to break this. Nobody's teams are really winning at a high enough rate for that to be a major factor in the conversation. Over those 11 games, Cooper Flagg is 6 and 5. Hahn Knueppel is 4 and 7. It's not like it's that substantial. Now, maybe 20, 30 games from now, maybe Dallas goes on a run. As I mentioned, Dylan Harper with San Antonio. That's going to be part of the conversation with how much they win. For me right now, it's not enough, especially when you talk about these two guys. And excuse me, Hahn has just been incredible. He's been so good.
Yeah. Now, like, if you made me try to predict who I think is going to win Rookie of the Year, I think that I would make Cooper the favorite right now. But again,
hold on. Are you saying that based on what you think voters will do or how the rest of the season will play out?
Kind of both, because I think that Cooper is adjusting very quickly right now.
Yeah.
It is like figuring things out in a hurry in a way that like is very impressive. But also I think voters probably, if it's close, will probably default to Cooper if you made me bet. But we can't lose sight of what Kahn's doing here. When Kahn is on the court, the Hornets only lose by 2.7 points per 100 possessions. In the 335 minutes that he has not played this year, they just get like waxed. Like they lose by 9.4 points per 100 possessions when Kahn is not out there. It just feels so drastic to not have him out on the court for them. It's like by far the biggest difference, I believe, like, you know, for the team, whenever you look at their on-off numbers, like it's a real difference maker for him comparatively to others, even though, like, you know, for instance, like Diabate is coming off the bench and has been valuable. Like LaMelo, you know, is, you know, played some minutes here and there and been pretty good in like the 400 minutes he's played. Right. But yeah, Kahn has been the biggest difference maker for the Hornets this year. And I don't really think it's all that close. I have been so impressed with everything he's been able to do this year.
Yeah, he's been super impressive. And he's so much better off the bounce already than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had him third. Like, yeah. I think that dude's stud. Like, I was a big believer. I thought he had way more upside than what people thought. I did not think he had this when I ranked him third. I thought that, like, I thought he was going to be like somewhat similar to Desmond Bane, borderline all-star kind of guy, maybe a little bit more ceiling as like a overall shooter even, and like movement shooter than what Bane can be. And like with the way that he relocates and everything like that, like I always thought that like that was kind of the stylistic comparison, but he's more than that. Like he's very clearly just more than that and has been so impressive. But yeah, the Rookie of the Year race is a real one right now. I think it's going to be really fun between those two, and maybe Dylan gets in it. Like again, Dylan dropped 21 against the Knicks in the NBA Cup final. I thought he was really good, but yeah, I'm very interested.
I think Dylan's the guy that will be interesting. I was just kind of looking at net rating stuff, which, you know, individual net rating, but you know, like he's just a guy. I think the wins for him could eventually come into play. You know, with just how good it looks like San Antonio is going to be. So, you know, and there's some other guys that have been okay. I think it's a 2-player race right now. We'll see if anybody else can get involved, but I think even those two makes it really fun, makes it really exciting.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so we're going to get into a few trade things to finish up the show here. Now that we've done all the fun basketball stuff, we're going to talk about trades. So The first one I want to talk about, according to my good friend who I love and I think does an amazing job over at The Athletic, and I know that people, also reported this after the fact, but Eric was the first one to get this out there. So we're going to shout out Eric. Eric Name over at The Athletic reported, and he's been a Bucks beat writer for 8 or 9 years now and has been exceptional at the job. He reported, but while the outside noise may have fans of opposing teams drooling about the potential of adding Milwaukee's two-time NBA MVP to their roster, league sources told The Athletic the Bucks have told teams they are looking to add to their roster in hopes of fortifying their struggling team in the week leading up to December 15th. That messaging could certainly change as the February 5th trade deadline nears. I mean, this is very similar to what, I said on the trade deadline episode that, like, I don't think that Milwaukee is all that interested in listening to Giannis stuff right now. I don't think they're taking offers on Giannis by any stretch of the imagination. I think they're probably hanging up, honestly, before it even gets to that point when a team expresses interest. And this isn't me saying this after the fact that Eric reported it. I think I said it on both the Monday and Tuesday shows. But Eric went a step further here, which is interesting, and said that the Bucks are looking to buy, which I think is a really, really fun sentiment, because I've been trying to come up with ideas, and some of the names that he brings up within his story are Zach LaVine, particularly. I think there might have been a couple others. I think maybe Jake Fisher may have followed up with like Jeremy Grant and DeJounte Murray or something. And like the Murray thing is crazy to me because he's coming off an Achilles injury and you're trying to win now. That just feels like a risk. But
I think Jeremy Grant was the other one I saw as well, or heard, maybe listening to podcasts.
Yeah. I've been trying to formulate a way to get Zach LaVine to Milwaukee. And I think that like that can happen. Is kind of where I'm at.
I literally did it in the last 30 seconds, at least as far as the money.
Yeah, I mean, the money's easy. It's, it just has to be Kuzma, Portis, and Porter. Like those are the three guys that you have to do, right?
I got it without Porter. I got like just a mere coffee at 2.3.
Oh, okay, great.
But Kuzma and Portis for sure. So
Kuzma and Portis are the ones you have to include. But if I'm Sacramento, I'm not real interested in that because both those guys have long-term deals and that doesn't save me enough money. What if I took you one step further here? What if I did this? And we're going to follow up and talk about Sacramento in a second here because I think their position at the deadline is very interesting, obviously. What if I did this? What if I included Chicago and I sent Nikola Vucevic and his expiring contract to Sacramento?
Okay.
I sent Bobby Portis to Chicago. And then I sent LaVine to Milwaukee. So the way that this, works in theory, and then, we can throw in Amir Coffey. Like throwing in Amir Coffey totally works for Sacramento, right? I believe that is what will make us successful. So the full deal here would be the Kings get Nikola Vucevic from Chicago and they get Kyle Kuzma and Amir Coffey from the Bucks. The Bulls get Bobby Portis and the Bucks get Zach LaVine. So you're probably asking, why do these other teams do this? So if you're Sacramento, you're getting off of half of LaVine's money for next year by taking Vooch in an expiring deal. And then you get Kuzma, who would be on an expiring deal next year, and you get Amir Coffey. You save $1.3 million next year, but more than that, you save like $28 million next season. And you get off of the LaVine money. I think that's a pretty big win for Sacramento. And then the Bulls, by flipping Vooch for Portis, they save $8 million this year by doing that. And I don't know how much worse they would be with Vooch versus Portis. Like Portis can play. He's good. He's the kind of spacing center that they tend to really value within their scheme, with how they want to play 5 out under Billy Donovan. But they save $8 million this year, and then like they just figure out what to do with Portis's deal down the road. They're going to need a center regardless. And if you have Bobby Portis locked in at like $14 million next season, there are worse things that you can have. He doesn't stop you from chasing somebody like Anthony Davis or anything if you want to do that. I honestly kind of think Portis works with Anthony Davis a little bit. Like, the big thing here, though, is you're saving $8 million this year for the Bulls. You're saving 22 or 23 million next year for Sacramento. And then Milwaukee's getting Zach LaVine, and they're just taking a flyer on it and seeing if it works.
Okay, hold on. Why do you keep saying Sacramento's only... Oh, because they're taking in Kuzma money also. Okay,
they're taking the Kuzma money for next year. Like he has money next year as well.
Yeah, I was just trying to trade out LaVine for Vooch, who was an expiring. I see what you're saying. Okay. I forgot to add in that Kuzma's 20. Like, and that Kuzma deal on 20 million is like not a...
It's an overpay by probably double, but it is.
Yeah, sure. But it's also in the last year, I guess, is like, so it's
an expiring deal next year.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so I'm trying to think, like, for the Bucks. All right, so your Kuzma and Portis are out. So my worry there, like we've talked about, I know this is the only way you can do it, but you're really thin up front, but like you're playing Hail Mary ball anyway. So for them, sure.
You don't have to give up any picks to do this in theory. Like I seriously, Sacramento saving them that 22, 23 million on LaVine's money next year is like a big deal, I think.
Yeah, I think for Sacramento, probably fine. I think if I'm Chicago, I want some sort of draft capital, but it's not going to be significant.
You're saving $8 million this year, though, off of Vooch, who, has been like useful he's been good for them like over the years, but he's 35.
I'm also taking on a longer contract though, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not saying like a first round pick. I'm saying like, I feel like, can I get a second from somebody or, whatever? It's not worth, I don't think it's enough to worry about too much. I don't think it's going to stop the deal from happening.
Yeah, like to me, this just makes a lot of sense for everybody involved. If you're the Bucks, you're throwing a Hail Mary is the whole thing. You would then have to go out and find some answers in the front court for sure. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say otherwise. Like, you would have to figure out, can we find an answer in the front court that makes sense?
Yeah.
But I think that probably makes them better. Like, I do think that if you're getting LaVine for Kuzma and Portis, it's a good Hail Mary to throw.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
right?
I think they're in a tough spot either way, but if you're going to do this and you're going to continue to try to make Giannis happy, which I understand, being able to bring in a talent like Zach LaVine and, being able to do that. And I guess the other thing with this is LaVine is down to one more year after this year. So if things go, like if you throw this Hail Mary and it doesn't work and you trade Giannis in the offseason, you have 1 year of Zach LaVine money before you reset the books with that as well. It's not like you're tied into 3 or 4 years of him if this goes south, which I think we would all agree has a real opportunity and potential to go south, but you're not locked into him for very long. Like even the Jeremy Grant thing, and we don't have to go there yet, but like there's a whole extra year of Jeremy Grant if you make that move and things go south.
Exactly right. Like, I don't know. This deal like really tracks for me. Something along these lines. Like maybe you include like a different guy somewhere, but the Chicago thing tracked for me just because Portis has been in Chicago, fits their scheme in a real way. Doesn't solve any defensive issues for them, but like gives them another big body up front to replace Vooch with on a more reasonable deal long term and saves them a bunch of money this year. Like, I don't know, that made a lot of sense to me.
So on paper, you could start Ryan Rollins, Zach LaVine, AJ Green.
By the way, real quick stop. Ryan Rollins and Zach LaVine is a really fun backcourt.
Yeah, no, that
like Rollins is a very good complement to Zach LaVine
because he can take the defensive matchups and all of that.
Correct.
So Rollins, Levine. I think AJ Green, of course, is in a great like that starting lineup is really interesting. It's just like when you get to the second unit, you have a lot of guards that are like, okay, that's interesting, especially off the bench. Like, so there's just nothing in the front court. So if you could give me the next move, some way to get is there somebody that could be thrown in the trade from either of these teams? Milwaukee can't take any more money though.
Yeah, I don't know if Sacramento's going to be. I mean, look, you can flip Cole Anthony or Andre Jackson Jr. to Sacramento, and then Sacramento flips you Drew Eubanks.
Well, I was thinking, I mean? Yeah, I was like, could you get one of the Bulls guys? Could you get Zach Collins makes way too much money? Is there a way to get Jalen Smith to Milwaukee? I don't think there is. That.
Yeah, and I think it'd have to be Eubanks or Precious. Yeah. I would say is your other option there.
Listen, I know it's not. I know it's not sexy at all, but even Precious going back would make me feel a little bit better about where they were at in the front court.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, that starting five would be I would watch that. I would tune in to watch that starting five play.
I'm just trying to come up with creative ideas to get, if the Bucks really do want to buy, I think that they have the potential to do that, is what I would say. People look at the fact that they have no assets and wonder. I do think that if they're willing to take on an extra year of Zach LaVine, I just created a deal that I think makes sense kind of for everybody across the board. I think that they will have the opportunity to do that if they want to.
Yeah. And my thing, if you're Sacramento, like you keep saying, you're not getting an asset for Zach LaVine. So just being able to get off the $20 million, I don't think you end up being able to trade Kuzma, but maybe he can play in that 4 spot next to Keegan, with Keegan Murray for, 18 months or whatever it ends up being. I don't think this is a bad situation for them to get off the LaVine money, as opposed to anything else. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what the Bucks do. I think there are opportunities for them to buy low on some of these, quote unquote, star power guys that have big deals if they want to, because they got out of the aprons. If they really want to go for it, they have the opportunity to do it.
I mean, is Jeremy Grant obviously not the same, but is that one?
I would rather have LaVine than Grant personally. Yeah. I understand the idea of Grant because, again, he feels more of the size based thing that Kuzma would be departing obviously for. I believe that with Grant as well, the idea would be that you don't necessarily have to include Portis, which means maybe you could flip Portis a different direction. I would not want to take on the extra year of Jeremy Grant.
Jeremy Grant's just a little bit easier because he, quote unquote, only makes 32. The gap between his 32 and LaVine's 40 plus is significant trying to construct things. But yeah, you can do Kuzma and Cole Anthony and you're already there. It's way easier to get there.
Yeah. And if you're the Bucks, you're definitely very happy to get off of that extra year of Jeremy Grant money to take back
the Blazers. If you're the Blazers.
The Blazers, I'm sorry. Yeah. You're definitely way happier to do that. And yeah, if I'm the Bucks, I'd rather have LaVine and rather have the money expiring after this year.
No, I think
I also just personally think LaVine's a better player for them than what Jeremy Grant is.
And I think it just how dynamic he is. I don't I think that would be more exciting to me if I'm the Bucks. If I'm going to do something like this and I'm going to dig even deeper into it, let's swing for the fences. You know what I mean? Let's just go for it. And if you get the best version of LaVine, and yeah, I mean, one less year, I think is super impactful in this, especially in this specific situation with Milwaukee.
Well, and let's transition to the Kings now because they're tied to this. We didn't get a chance to talk a ton about the sellers at the market when we did our trade deadline thing on Tuesday. the Kings are the ones that like can really dictate things on some level just because they have a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Like basically, I think that they're listening on all of their vets. They're young guys. I think that they're not super excited about moving, like Nick Clifford, and I think that they're not all that enthused about moving, like Devin Carter and Max Reynaud. But like, my read is they're willing to listen on like all of the vets at this point, including Sabonis, including DeRozan, Levine, Schroeder, everybody, right? So I guess that like, if I told you what would be a successful deadline if you were a Kings fan, like, is it literally just like getting off of the vets and the money, reducing your long-term impact on your cap and on your books, maybe getting a couple of assets for Sabonis and then just like restarting? Like,
yes.
Is that what you're trying to do?
I think that's where I'm at with Sacramento. Like, I was looking at the net rating stuff earlier today. Like, they're at the bottom of the league. You know, they're right down there with the teams that are truly tanking. So why not be there? I think I was, what was it? I don't remember which podcast I was listening to the other day, like talking about 2-man lineups and how where DeRozan and Levine are. If I can get off Levine, Sabonis, and DeRozan, I know this is a little bit of like 2K stuff. If I can get off that long-term money, the only real money I have locked in substantial, like Malik Monk's money is there, but it's really Keegan. Like even Schroeder in 27-28 isn't fully guaranteed on the third year of that deal. If I can get off those guys, clean up my books, maybe I can get some sort of like reclamation, you know, second draft guys in some of these trades. You know, I think Sabonis, I think will have value. That would be what if we finish the deadline and the books look much cleaner. Maybe there's a couple interesting players. Maybe there's a couple second round picks around here somewhere. You know, maybe they can get more for Sabonis than what I think they're going to get. That would be successful for Sacramento. Lean into this. Give all your minutes to Keegan Murray, to Nick Clifford, to Keon Ellis, etc., and then just have some resemblance of a roster around them so that they can be successful in terms of not winning, but like playing competitive basketball and all of that. That's a success to me for Sacramento at the deadline.
Yeah. So like, if I told you that the Kings did something like the Levine deal that I mentioned above, you get off of half of Levine's money next year by taking the Vooch expiring. You do something like, because I think that DeMar would help the Clippers because they like are completely falling apart whenever Harden leaves the court, right?
Okay.
So you go get like another perimeter scorer who you can trust to like go get buckets with the second unit. Or maybe you like pull Harden earlier in the first quarter and then you play him with the second, like whatever you want to do, right? Could you do like John Collins and Kobe Brown for DeMar DeRozan? Because DeRozan has like the extra $8 million tied next year. So the Kings could look at it as like, we're taking a flyer on Kobe Brown, who had his option declined. And, you know, we have John Collins, who's an expiring deal. So we're getting off the extra $8 million for DeRozan. Like, does that track for you at all?
I'd like to think I could get something of a little more value from DeRozan. I just don't know. You know, like I would like something a little more interesting.
I don't know where is the problem. Like,
yeah.
Can you think of a team other than the Clippers that would want DeRozan? Because I mean, I'm struggling with it.
The play style is just tough, right? Like, I mean, where the mid range and the defense and all of that at this point in his career makes it difficult. So I don't have a good answer to that, which makes it hard to say that they can go get what I would like for them to get in a return.
Yeah. I think that the Clippers are the team that like really tracks for me with DeMar, just because of their needs. It'd be a homecoming for him. Like, I bet he would be pretty happy to go to LA. If this is like nearing the end for DeMar, which I don't know if it is, honestly. Like, he might want to keep rising up the ranks of the scoring list all time. One of my favorite things to track on this show throughout the many years that we've been doing this is that, do you know where DeMar DeRozan currently ranks on the all-time career points list in the NBA?
I feel like I've probably seen this recently. I would say top 30, top 40.
He is 23rd. He is 250 points from passing Kevin Garnett. He is like 600 points from passing John Havlicek and Paul Pierce. He is like 700 points from passing Tim Duncan. So like by the end of the year, like DeMar is probably going to be a top 20 scorer in NBA history. Again, like people laugh at me when I say this guy's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Like I'm just telling you guys, he is one of the 20 best scorers in terms of total points in NBA history. You have to go all the way down among guys that are eligible for the Hall of Fame to this point, because Joe Johnson is not yet eligible for the Hall of Fame. You have to go down to like 50 and 51 before you get to somebody that is on the scoring list, like ranking on the scoring list that is not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
DeMar's going to be 20th at least by the time he's done. Like he might end, like people are going to laugh when I say this. He is like only 1,200 points away from like 14th on the scoring list. And like Steph is ahead of him. He will continue to be ahead of him. Russ is still ahead of him. Like, you know, Russ, you know, came very close to not getting a deal this year, right? And is only 800 points ahead of him.
Sam, he could end up being a 30,000 point scorer. Like that would require.
I don't think he'll quite get there.
I don't think it'll quite get. Like, I mean, if he finishes this year, because he's on pace to get another 1,000 this year,
something like that. We'll call it like 1,000 to 1,100. Yeah,
he's probably going to come up just short. But like if he ends up with 28K, which puts him right now in the range you're talking, like that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. If he ends up with 26, 9 by the end of the year, so if he ups his scoring average a little bit, which I don't think he will, but like he would end the season like something like 15th.
Yeah, right there by a key
history.
He could pass Oscar this year.
It's crazy. Like DeMar DeRozan's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, guys, it's happening. And he's well deserving. He's a great dude by all accounts, and is just his workman, like with his footwork and mid-range game, pushed his way into the Hall of Fame. But regardless, like if he goes to the Clippers, like he really helps the Clippers too. Like they need another scoring threat on the court. And I don't know, like I think he probably continues to average 15 to 20 points a game with the Clippers if he was to go there. And he helps them. Like that's one of the few teams that I think he like really genuinely would help through his sheer presence.
If he was a different type of scorer, I actually think he'd be interesting for Detroit. I just don't know the way he scores makes as much sense for them. But just, for a team, he's the type of player that I'm interested, if they're not going to go home run second option, getting an older player that's only going to be there to bridge the gap to either somebody developing or trading for the bigger name. Somebody like DeRozan, and the money's so low on DeRozan, it makes it a little bit more interesting as well. Like my worry is like him and Cade together on the court is a little bit
doesn't work.
I think it's great in the non-Cade minutes, to be clear. I think he could be really impactful in non-Cade minutes. I
would be too worried about the Cade minutes.
He doesn't feel like he fits what Miami's doing.
Yeah.
Minnesota, no. Phoenix?
The Knicks don't have the money. Minnesota doesn't have the money. I mean, Phoenix would be interesting. Phoenix is like leaning into like the way the Cavs played last year under Ott, which is a ton of threes. So like, I don't know that he totally fits that, but like he is a scorer and they could use like one more body as a scorer, I think.
And to your point about like taking pressure off James Harden, this could take pressure off Devin Booker.
Yeah, that is true. But regardless, I guess my point here is like trying to create a successful, like my idea here is trying to create a successful deadline for the Kings. So to me, it's moving off half the Levine money for next year, bringing back like Kuzma and, Amir Coffey or whatever for next year. Maybe you get like a second round pick in that deal or something. Maybe. if you're getting off all that money, that's a win to me. But regardless,
can I say real quick too? Like bringing in Vooch for 20, whatever, like that is the type of player for 20 games that does help you evaluate your young players on the offensive end as well. Like a floor spacing big, assuming you're moving off Sabonis and these other guys, like that gives you an interesting sample with more floor spacing. I realize he's just an expiring and all of that. There's no long-term play there. But it would be just kind of a down the line kind of benefit to that move also.
Maybe you give up a second rounder. Maybe if you're the Clippers, you're willing to give up a second rounder with John Collins and Kobe Brown to lose $4.5 million off of your cap sheet and take back DeMar, like something like that. That's interesting. I also wonder how much the Kings will have to use Keon Ellis as a sweetener in some of these deals. Maybe, I don't know if you have to do it in the DeMar deal, but in the Levine deal, I am wondering if like teams will ask for Keon as a sweetener in order to take his money back.
Sure.
I would love to keep Keon if I'm Sacramento, but regardless. And then Sabonis, like I think they would get value for Sabonis.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, right? Like that's probably the one where you return a little more value than what I was saying earlier, whether it's interesting young piece or something like that.
And like my two teams that I really like for him are, I think that he would work with the Raptors. Like I think that he would track there. I've seen reporting out of Toronto from like Michael Grange and some of those guys up there that like they've done a little bit of due diligence into him, I guess. I mean, like I wouldn't be super excited about taking back Pirtle. I wouldn't be super excited about taking back Quickly. But if they gave me like a real player in return in order to take that money back, I might be more interested, right? Or if they gave me a pick, like I might be more interested in doing it. The other team that really tracks for me is Washington.
Yeah,
like
we've done this one. Yeah,
we've talked about this one a little bit, but like if you could do the CJ McCollum expiring money, and maybe it's I don't know, like someone else on their roster. Maybe it's Bub Carrington is the sweetener and Sacramento takes a flyer on Bub and we see what that is, just because I do wonder about what the Bub experience is going to look like long-term for Washington. Sabonis, I think would fit really well with Alex Sarr. I think that he would really help from a rebounding perspective. This is a team that just struggles immensely on the interior. It feels like to me when I watch them. They are 30th in defensive rebounding rate, 22nd in offensive rebounding rate. They do not force turnovers at all on defense. And I wonder if employing Sarr is more of like a roving help defender as opposed to like your true big could actually improve that a little bit as well in terms of the possession game. I don't think Sabonis is going to help you win so many games to where it ruins your tank either.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's kind of my, breed. Like, can you move Sabonis to one of the teams that actually uses him and get a little bit of value back? Can we get off of like DeMar's future money? Can we get off of the future money for Levine in any way that we can? And then like Malik Monk, Schroeder, like if we could find, honestly, like if I'm Detroit, I'm probably happy to do one of those two as a last ditch, landing spot. I would imagine you would rather have Monk than Schroeder, right?
Yeah, Monk's probably just harder because of the money, but
the money's not that different, bizarrely.
No, but I think Schroeder would fit into their I thought it would fit in. Yeah, it should fit into their trade exception because it was his deal that made the trade exception.
That would be very funny to just send him back for his own trade exception. I think I would rather have Monk. I think Monk's a better player, but obviously there's real synergy there between Schroeder and those guys. Just because Schroeder was there last year, I would understand thinking that we know what this is. We know how to make him work. We know how to like make this work within our scheme. Could we move off of one of those guys if we're Sacramento?
Sure.
For like less long-term money. Could we do like Schroeder for, Karis LeVert or something? And a little bit, you lose 1 year of the LeVert contract since LeVert's only a 2-year deal, right? Not a 3-year deal.
Yeah, that would be that would be hilarious. Just,
I mean, it would make the Pistons better, though, right?
That carousel. I like Karras, but
like, have you enjoyed the Karras experience this year?
I mean, the one thing I will say is he's shooting well from three right now. So
yeah, that's true. He's a little bit bigger too.
I think we'd just be spinning wheels a little bit with that one. I think Malik, like you said, Malik's just a better player to me, a more dynamic player. Detroit just trying to match that money. You'd have to do like Karras plus, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably right. Okay. But look, like, to me, a successful deadline for the Kings, getting off money, adding a little bit of salary here and there, and going from there, or adding a little bit of value, getting off money, and going from there.
Yep. No, I think I'm with you.
The last thing I want to talk about here. So Adam Silver talked about the Terry Rozier deal here at his press conference for the NBA Cup yesterday. And it is like the Heat's argument with Rozier is interesting. And what's kind of happening right now is I think the Heat want clarification as to whether or not they can trade Terry Rozier. The league is telling them that we are not giving you that clarification until you try to trade him, because I think they don't want to set any sort of precedent in regard to the entire Terry Rozier experience here. And then Adam Silver spoke yesterday. He didn't really address the idea of like trading him in any way, but I think Tim Reynolds in Miami asked the question of, is there any way that like the Heat would be remunerated for this remunerated for this in some way, shape, or form? Silver said, we're going to try to work this out with them, but obviously there's no solution here, or there's no obvious solution here, rather. I would just say that there's no doubt at the moment that they have a player that can't perform services for them. Obviously, he hasn't been convicted of anything yet either, but this is an unfortunate circumstance. Sometimes these unique events maybe require a unique solution, right? I understand him not wanting to put anything on record in terms of precedent. I also understand the Heat's position on, well, we should get some sort of value back for this, because the league investigated this and didn't come away with anything. Like the games where he is being investigated for did not happen in a Heat jersey. They happened in a Hornets jersey, and then the Heat acquired Terry Rozier. The NBA knew about this like the day that it happened, or at least knew about the idea that Rozier had funky betting patterns on his over-unders. And then, the NBA investigated it, came away saying nothing, thinking it was fine. And then the government came in over the top and said, wait, no, like we're not fine here. But if you're the Heat, you're probably thinking, well, the league said it's fine. Like, you guys investigated this. Why should we be held liable when you guys investigated this and said nothing was wrong? So why would we believe that something would then be wrong in the future? Right. I do understand that part of it. I also don't think that you can penalize Charlotte for making this deal. Like, I don't think you can send the pick back to Miami. I do wonder if there is a world where like you could give Miami like an extra pick in the first round. So like, instead of instead of Miami having what could be like the 11th overall pick, say they miss the playoffs next year, or they have the 15th overall pick next year with that 2027 pick. that they gave to Charlotte. It would be maybe they just give the Heat like the 25th overall pick or something like that. It's just like an extra like compensatory pick, acknowledging that we screwed up. I would be open to something like that in this case. The big thing to me, though, is that like the Heat should absolutely be able to trade Terry Rozier. Like the league should just tell them now, you can trade him and the team that trades him can cut him.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like don't make them, because typically the way this works with any league ruling is that they make you try to do it first. They make you try to stress test it first, and then they make a ruling on rules because they don't want to set precedent for things until it has to be set.
Isn't there a little bit of a precedent here in terms of legal trouble, a player being in legal trouble, traded and immediately waived? Like,
I mean, Kevin Porter was an example of this, if memory serves.
The Rockets to the Thunder back in 2023, and then Oklahoma City immediately waived him.
And I do want to be clear with people. From what I understand, and I'm not like I am not like sitting here anxiously calling the league office about this topic, but from what I understand, it's not that the Heat have been told they can't trade Terry Rozier.
They just haven't given them confirmation that it's okay or whatever.
Correct. So I think that the league would be fine in this circumstance to preemptively say, hey, this is fine. Or at least give them like a little like head nod, like privately, like Adam just like calls Pat Riley or something, or calls Andy Ellisberg or Adam Simon, or one of Mark Tatum does this or something, like whatever it is, and just gives them like a little head nod and says like, hey, you can do this. There's just no argument against the Heat being able to trade him, I think. Because if he wasn't in legal trouble, they might trade him as an expiring contract. And I don't think that his value would be tied to the fact that he would be playing. It would be tied to the fact that he's an expiring contract.
Correct.
So like if they want to go get somebody, they should be able to do that. Period.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like I don't understand the holdup with that. I mean, the team that would be trading
it's simply that the league does not want to create precedent if it doesn't have to create precedent.
Yeah. My guess is that Miami is going to be, I think Miami will trade him as part of matching salary. The team that acquires him will waive him, and that's how it will go down. I guess, is there part of like getting money back for teams like once everything plays out, that where it gets more complicated if he's been moved on to a third team? Like, I don't know if like they're trying to avoid making it more complicated once some ruling is actually made. I don't know. One thing I did hear about the draft pick thing, this was front office show, good friend Keith Smith talked about maybe removing the step-in rule for them. So not actually giving them a first round pick back. But part of why I think Miami wants the first round pick back is it allows them access to their other picks to trade. I mean, obviously they would love to have their first round pick, but that one pick is tying them up because it's protected in 27 and unprotected in 28.
So I want to say this, like, I love Keith. Keith has been on the show quite a few times, and nothing I'm about to say is a shot at Keith at all. I don't think that the league would want to. I think the league would be less inclined to break step-in rule precedent as opposed to just giving them an extra
draft pick
in the first round, like just creating like an extra compensatory pick in some way, shape, or form. Sure. And I understand the precedent that could be set there where like teams will ask for this moving forward. And honestly, like, I'm not even 100% convinced that the Heat should get a pick like this or should get a pick back, frankly. Like I would need real evidence from them that they would need, or that they would get, or I'm sorry, I would need real evidence that they did their homework on the Rozier gambling thing ahead of time. And they knew somehow that this was happening, and they knew that the NBA cleared him. Like, I would want evidence that they did their homework on this and came away thinking, oh, the league cleared him, that's okay.
Well, I guess, where has this hurt the Heat the most? Like, what aspect of all of this? Because
constructing trades. I would argue. And he's been bad for them as well. I would actually argue
but that has
he's been bad. Has been
that doesn't have anything to do with the gambling thing, though, right? Like, that has nothing to do with that. I mean, so what has the gambling investigation and subsequent suspension or whatever, like right now, where has it hurt the Heat the most? Because they traded for him and he played 30 games. Then he played 64 games the next year. Then this happened. I think the only thing that has directly impacted is what we're talking about with being able to trade him. So, like, part of my thing is like, what is Miami's pitch to the league that you should give us our first round pick back? Like,
the pitch is that we would not have done this deal if you hadn't cleared him.
Okay. Not that this has railroaded our path over the last 18 months or going forward. It's that we just wouldn't have done this. If we had all the information, we wouldn't have made the trade.
Correct. If we had, no, not if we had all the information. I think their case, if I was them and I was constructing the case, I don't know what their specific case is.
Yeah.
But the case that I would make is that he had this incident happen in Charlotte. You guys cleared him of it, and you knew the day of the weird betting patterns. You guys cleared him of this. This is your mistake, not ours. Therefore, we should get compensation back. If you hadn't cleared him, we would not have come anywhere close to this.
Yeah.
And now, because you guys made a mistake in clearing him, we now have an indicted player on our roster. Again, I don't know that that's a good enough excuse for me unless I get evidence that the Heat did their intel and due diligence and understood this was going on and made their decision based on the league clearing him. But if that is true and they did make that decision based off of that, I actually kind of do think there might be a case for something at least. I don't think you can take the pick away from Charlotte, but I do wonder if you could give Miami a pick later than the one that Charlotte had.
What if everybody...
But that would satisfy the idea of what Keith is talking about, because you'd be giving them an extra first round pick back, basically, without penalizing Charlotte.
Yeah. Is there a world where everybody had the information at the time of the trade, gave that information, and then more information came out after? And if that's the case, then where's the wrongdoing or the, hey, you owe us? You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the truth or not. I'm just saying, I think that's a possibility.
That's the unknown factor there. And that's why, to me, if I was the league, I would need to know, okay, you did your due diligence on this. It was our mistake here. We are the ones who made this mistake, potentially. Maybe the league ends up being right and Rozier is going to get acquitted of all this. You know what I mean? He's innocent until proven guilty. That's the other thing that makes all of this exceptionally complicated. But the other thing about that part of it is too, and obviously the Heat would like this to be settled as soon as possible, because it would allow them to have some sort of pick to be traded, potentially, in theory, if they get compensated for this. But if you do it that way, if you say like, we are willing to wait until we get some sort of result in the Rozier deal or the Rozier potential trial, whatever's going to happen with him, the league could then say, if he gets acquitted, if he gets, off on this charge that he's currently indicted of, they can say, we were right. Like, we were right to clear him. So you guys don't get anything back. And then because the 2027 draft is in 18 months, I would imagine the Rozier trial hopefully would happen within 18 months. I don't know if that will be the case or not, but it gives the league more time to kind of figure that out as well.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of my read on the situation. But regardless, like, the big thing here is the Heat should absolutely be able to trade this guy. Like, there is no question asked. Like, they 1000% should, if they want to trade Terry Rozier's contract, and if somebody wants an expiring deal back in a deal that he can't play, they're making that choice knowing that that player cannot play right now, and the Heat should absolutely be able to move him.
Yep.
And there should be no questions asked about this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think, I don't know, a lot of what I just asked or threw out was me just trying to hash through it. I don't know where I stand on some of the other stuff because I don't know that you can have a firm side on some of the other stuff if you don't have all of the information.
That's the thing. Like, we don't have all of the info right now. And that's what makes it very tricky as well, to like, we can like make if statements based
Correct.
on if they did this, if this is true, but like, that's hard at the end of the day.
But in general, I think I agree that yes, I think they should be able to trade Terry Rozier.
Yeah, I think that is accurate. Okay. Bryce, that's all we got here today. Tell the people where they can find your work. Tell the people what's going on.
Yeah, at Motor City Hoops on Twitter, on Blue Sky, Motor City Hoops Substack. If your favorite team plays the Pistons, Game Theory Substack. Hopefully I'll have something on there in the next couple days. Haven't had a ton of like high level college matchups, but if I don't find one of those, then I'll find something NBA wise to break down. And then of course, right here, the Game Theory podcast with Sam Vecenie.
Yeah, I was bummed. I thought last night we were going to get the Michael Brown, Nate Heyman game, and then
Adrian Woolley.
I only watched the first half. Adrian was quite fun in the first half. I know Tennessee blew them out, but yeah, I thought Adrian was quite good in that game and looks like a guy that long term might be in the NBA.
Yep.
Not for this year, but okay. Go to The Athletic. Keep me employed. I'll have trade deadline big board, 40 names of guys that might be traded at deadline. Talking about them, what their trade value is, everything like that. Go there. Subscribe to The Athletic. Keep me employed. It is a great place to work. I truly love it. Bryce, I got to go. I have to go get my citizenship to the beautiful country that is Australia today.
There you go.
I am super excited about it. It is, I love this country that I live in now. It is fantastic. Then Laura and I are going to go to Adelaide this weekend and watch cricket. I will get to watch Ashes cricket, which is England, Australia. We've discussed the Ashes here.
Oh, yeah. Ashes. Yep.
I will get to watch that as a crazy Australian person who roots for Australia no matter what. It's going to completely change who I am, Bryce.
Love it. Congrats.
I'm so excited. Again, go to the Game Theory Substack, gametheorysamv.substack.com. We will be back on Monday morning. We will record. That will be takeaways. We'll figure out the rest of the schedule during Christmas week at some point. Honestly, there's a chance we only do 2 episodes in Christmas week. We'll talk about it, Bryce. We'll have to figure it all out.
Sure.
But the Monday show will be happening. I do feel confident.
Yeah. No, our weekend is planned out for that. So yes.
Yeah. So okay. That's all we got. Until next time, we'll talk soon. Bye.